So where are we now and what comes next? There are four main issues we need to address. One is future election integrity. Two is the threat to free speech. Three, the risk of radical policies. And four, financial implications for you and your family. In regard to election integrity, we need to make certain that we never have to go through something like this again. Many on the left want to hide behind the fact that courts ignored the cases. They say that this is proof of a clean election. They want to blame Trump and Trump supporters. The truth is, there were significant changes to the election procedures, and they were not approved in every state by the state legislators. Those were valid reasons to raise objections prior to the vote in Congress. At this point now, those procedures can and should be reviewed by the legislatures for future elections. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution reads, "Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled to in Congress." Now, the courts did refuse to intervene in the midst of an election. That's their long-standing policy. But now that the election is over, I would expect that they would back the legislature in any attempt to address the changes for the future. Legislators hold enormous power, especially the power of the purse strings. They can and should act immediately to examine how elections are conducted in their state. For example, a legislature could change the law so that the state's electors were given to the winner of the national popular vote. I think that'd be a bad idea and would destroy the process of the Electoral College. But many on the left are pushing for that to happen, and it shows that legislators do have that power. In some states, the electors are bound to the winner of the state's popular vote. But in other states, such as Maine and Nebraska, the state may split the electors based on the vote in congressional district. In this election, for example, President Trump won 4 and Biden won 1 in Nebraska. The point is, that's how electors are chosen. It's determined by the state legislature. Courts claim they were reluctant to hear challenges after the election took place because they didn't want to interfere with a vote that's already been cast. But they should support the legislature in setting the rules for future votes. This is where we must learn from the issues of 2020. The battle will be in the state legislatures. Here's a few suggestions. 1, the law on mail-in ballots needs to be addressed. There are guidelines and safeguards that should have been put in place according to the National Election Defense Commission. That's a bipartisan group that was created out of the work of former President Jimmy Carter and James Baker. 2, the laws on observers need to be strengthened. 3, the election officials need to be made more accountable to the legislature. 4, the voter rolls need to be cleaned. Services like Vote Detective could be enabled and supported. 5, there needs to be a preservation of ballots that can be reviewed by optical scan after the election to verify integrity. This will be a battle, but it's the next battle that must be fought. It's a place where you can make a difference. Another big issue we have to face is the threat to free speech from the social media monopolies. The argument has been made that Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook are all private companies and thus have a right to refuse service to anyone. They set the guidelines, and if you break them, you're off their platform. If you don't like their policy, it's a free country, build your own platform. That's a pretty strong argument at first blush, but it fails when you look at the big picture. First, the big players really are monopolies with enormous power.